A man thought he had saved a little puppy, but a visit to the veterinarian revealed a surprising truth about the animal. Shielding himself with his jacket from the rain, Max dashed from his car straight to his house entrance. A soft whimper suddenly made him pause. Despite the relentless downpour, his curiosity pushed him to explore. Tracing the sound, his shoes squelched on the soggy grass near his property's boundary. Tucked away in the shrubbery, he discovered a small, quivering shape. It was huddled under a rhododendron, soaked and shaking violently. As Max edged closer, he noticed its fur was matted and tangled, and small, scared eyes looked up at him. Thinking it was a stray puppy, his heart softened at the sight. He spoke in gentle tones, coaxing the tiny creature towards him with promises of warmth and safety. Driven by its desperation, the animal slowly approached Max's extended hand. He carefully lifted it, wrapped it in his jacket, and carried it into his warm home. Inside, the smell of rain-soaked wood filled the air and soft jazz music played, a comforting backdrop Max set for his plants. He placed the creature on a plush towel by the fireplace, dried it off, and took a closer look. That's when he noticed the unusual length of its ears and the strange pattern on its coat, which did not match any dog breed he was familiar with. Curiosity piqued. Max prepared some warm milk and chicken, which the creature eagerly consumed. As he watched it eat, he realized its sharp, wary glances and the unsettling quiet around it were uncharacteristic of a young dog's typical lively nature. Settling by the fire, Max observed as the creature curled up and fell asleep. He pondered over its origins and why it was alone. Planning to take it to the vet the next day for a checkup and microchip scan, he hoped to find its owners if it was lost. But for tonight, he would provide refuge and warmth to this enigmatic visitor, whose arrival was as abrupt and stirring as the storm outside. As the weekend dawned clear and sunny, in stark contrast to the stormy evening when they met, Max found himself more and more captivated by his mysterious new friend. It was Saturday, and after completing his usual morning hike through the crisp air of the Blue Ridge Mountains and enjoying a hearty breakfast, activities that rejuvenated his spirit and provided him with a sense of grounding, Max faced the added task of getting his new companion ready for a visit to the vet. He tried to make the experience lighter by introducing a plush toy and engaging in playful chatter, but his new friend, whom he called Shadow, seemed unusually detached, its eyes often wandering to the window, keenly observing the outdoors. Max felt a mix of concern and puzzlement over Shadow's indifferent behavior, which was far from typical puppy antics. Brushing aside his worries, he attributed Shadow's distant demeanor to its mysterious background and the recent changes it had faced. Attaching a makeshift leash, Max placed Shadow in his car and drove to the local vet, hopeful for insights from Dr. Clara Johnson. However, upon arrival, the receptionist, with a sympathetic smile, informed him that Dr. Clara had to attend to a family emergency and was unavailable. The clinic could only offer routine procedures like vaccinations and flea treatments today, services that did not suit Shadow's peculiar situation. Max learned that Dr. Harper would replace Dr. Clara starting the following week. As Max drove home, his thoughts were tangled with the day's unexpected twists and the strange behavior of his new companion. The creature, which he had named Shadow as a nod to their first stormy encounter, seemed oddly content to be heading back, resting quietly in the back seat of the car. Every so often, Shadow would catch Max's eye through the rearview mirror, its expression inscrutable and mysterious. As days turned into a routine, what Max initially thought were just quirks began to form a list of peculiarities. Every morning, as Max prepared his coffee, Shadow would methodically pace the living room, moving with a deliberate precision that contrasted sharply with the typical playfulness of a puppy. It showed no interest in the squeaky toys and chew bones Max had picked up from the vet, instead keeping a vigilant watch over the outside through the window, more like a sentinel than a house pet. The nights brought an even more eerie atmosphere. Shadow would sit at the foot of Max's bed, eyes piercing into the shadows of the room, ears alert. As the neighborhood quieted down, it would emit low, sorrowful howls that resonated with a deep, wild timbre, far from the playful yips expected from a young dog. These haunting sounds seemed to echo from an ancient wilderness. Feeling both intrigued and somewhat unnerved, Max turned to his blog, a modest platform where he usually discussed his coding projects and hiking escapades. As a 30-year-old software developer, he began to document and share his experiences with Shadow. Alongside his regular posts, he uploaded videos and detailed observations of Shadow's unusual behaviors, inviting his followers into the mystery that had entered his life. The blog post titled, "Is My Puppy Not a Puppy?" quickly caught fire among Max's audience, igniting an explosive mix of curiosity and engagement. The flood of responses ranged from light-hearted skepticism to genuine concern, as readers chimed in with their own theories. Some speculated that Shadow might be a rare breed or even a wolf-dog hybrid, while others thought it could be some exotic, lesser-known animal. As the discussion broadened, local animal enthusiasts and experts weighed in, noting Shadow's keen alertness and its unsettling nocturnal howling as potential indicators of a wild lineage. More creative guesses emerged, suggesting that Max might have stumbled upon a creature seldom seen in the suburban areas of North Carolina. Driven by a growing fascination, Max ramped up his blogging efforts. Each of Shadow's behaviors was diligently recorded and shared, turning the blog from a hobbyist's journal into a vibrant forum for discussion. Posts delved into Shadow's aversion to typical canine pastimes, its unusual vocal sounds, and its intense observation of its environment. What started as a modest digital space for sharing personal coding projects and hiking stories was now a center of lively debate and wild conjecture about the mysterious nature of Shadow. As the weekend transitioned into a new week, the enigma surrounding Shadow only intensified, prompting Max to seek definitive professional advice. Amidst the relentless online theorizing and his own escalating apprehension, Max resolved to make another attempt at consulting a vet. With a blend of nervousness and anticipation, he arranged an appointment with Dr. Harper, eager for some clarity. Unbeknownst to him, this upcoming visit would dramatically alter his tranquil suburban existence and catapult him into an unforeseen journey. This step, driven by a mixture of hope and curiosity, set the stage for revelations that would not only solve the mystery of Shadow's identity, but also redefine Max's connection to the natural world around him. When they got to the clinic, it was alive with the usual small-town pet emergencies: a limping Labrador, a cat spitting angrily from its cage, and a group of anxious pet owners. Max felt a mix of nervousness and excitement tighten in his belly. He held onto Shadow's leash more tightly as they walked into the reception area. Shadow immediately drew odd looks. A woman on her way out whispered quickly to her friend, nodding subtly at Max and Shadow. Her wide eyes showed a mix of intrigue and perhaps worry. Her friend, a sturdy man walking a calm golden retriever, gave Shadow a quick glance but looked away when he saw Max watching. As the waiting time dragged on, Max sensed every gaze and heard the hushed guesses that filled the room, intensifying his own tumultuous thoughts. Was Shadow just an unusual breed, or was there more to it? Each muttered remark seemed to reflect and magnify his uncertainties, making the past week feel even more bizarre. Eventually, they were called in. As they moved toward the examination room, Shadow stiffened, its body turning rigid. Max offered a calming pat, but as they got close to the door, Shadow's instincts took over. It yanked free with a forceful tug and bolted. The waiting room erupted into chaos. The Labrador barked furiously, a cat yowled from its carrier, and children shrieked as Shadow weaved through chair legs and alarmed visitors. Max's heart pounded as he chased the fleeing animal. Sam, the vet's nimble assistant, dashed after them too. The pursuit ended when Sam trapped Shadow in a storeroom filled with pet supplies. Breathless, Max and Sam finally subdued Shadow, whose wide, scared eyes and heavy breathing showed its utter fright. On their way back to the examination room, Max repeatedly apologized to the other pet owners, his expression showing deep embarrassment and real concern. Inside, Dr. Harper awaited them with an arched eyebrow and a calm demeanor. "Quite the lively one, isn't it?" he remarked, closing the door gently. The room fell silent, except for Shadow's heavy breathing, now securely held by Sam. Max nodded, his worried eyes searching the vet's seasoned ones for any insight. As Dr. Harper swapped gloves to start the checkup, Max's mind was filled with what might be revealed about Shadow. Dr. Harper, with years of experience behind him, approached Shadow with a blend of professional interest and caution. He began by checking Shadow's abdomen, his hands skilled and gentle on the animal's frame. Shadow stayed surprisingly calm, its eyes scanning the room nervously. Occasionally, curious onlookers peered through the clinic's see-through window, drawn by the noise earlier. As Dr. Harper examined Shadow's mouth and inspected its teeth, he immediately noticed something unusual. The teeth were far sharper and more pronounced than any domestic dog's, resembling those of a wild predator, not something you'd typically find in a suburban setting. His expression changed from curiosity to slight alarm. Taking a step back, Dr. Harper's eyes widened as he processed what he was seeing, his face a mix of worry and fascination. "What do you call this animal?" he asked, peering intently over his glasses. "Where did you find him? How long have you had him? Is this your first veterinary visit with him?" Max explained that he discovered Shadow wandering alone after a severe storm, initially mistaking it for a stray puppy. With each response, Dr. Harper's expression grew more intrigued and his questions more urgent, his movements quickening as he referred back to his notes. After a series of quick questions, Dr. Harper turned to his assistant Sam, shook his head in astonishment, and then addressed them both, signaling the gravity of their discovery. "Sorry for the interruption, but before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It's very important for us. Thank you very much." "This isn't a puppy, Max," Dr. Harper said, his voice heavy with concern. "You've brought in a baby hyena." Noticing the alarm on Max's face, Dr. Harper quickly tried to calm the atmosphere. Speaking more gently, he continued, "I know this comes as a shock, but you have a young spotted hyena here. It's extremely rare to see them in this area, and it's crucial that we handle this with great care." The truth seemed hard to believe. Shadow didn't immediately look like a hyena, probably because it was severely underfed. Plus, its fur pattern was oddly similar to a Chihuahua's, just slightly altered, a misleading feature that hid its true hyena traits. Dr. Harper went on to detail the significant implications. Hyenas were not only uncommon, but could be dangerous and were definitely not suitable for a typical home environment. They needed specific care tailored to their wild nature and requirements. As Dr. Harper coordinated with animal control and a local wildlife sanctuary, the clinic was filled with a new flurry of activity. Sensing the urgency of secure and immediate management, Dr. Harper quietly instructed Sam to prepare a cage. "Make sure it's spacious and comfortable," he said softly, ensuring their approach was both cautious and considerate. Max watched the preparations with worry, feeling uneasy about the strict measures for Shadow, who had been gentle so far. Dr. Harper, sensing his apprehension, put a comforting hand on Max's shoulder. "I understand your concerns, Max," Dr. Harper assured him, "but this isn't about punishment. Hyenas are inherently wild, And although Shadow hasn't been aggressive, we must put safety and his well-being first. The cage is just a safety measure to keep everyone, including Shadow, secure until he can be moved to a setting that's right for him. Dr. Harper continued to explain that hyenas, even young ones, could act unpredictably and might pose a risk, especially in unfamiliar or stressful settings, such as a vet clinic. He indicated the large enclosure set up for Shadow, crafted to comfort the animal while also keeping the clinic staff and other animals safe. This thoughtful preparation gave Max a bit of comfort as he grappled with the shocking news. Dr. Harper's calm expertise eased Max's initial alarm, providing a straightforward plan to handle the rare and unexpected situation. The room's atmosphere transitioned to a serene focus as they readied to securely hold Shadow for a while before moving him to a more suitable habitat for such a wild creature. As Sam gently moved Shadow into his new cage to a quieter part of the clinic, Max watched with sadness. Seeing Shadow's large, mournful eyes looking through the cage bars triggered a wave of remorse in him. He felt a deep sense of responsibility for Shadow's current situation, despite understanding that this was the right decision. Alone with Shadow in the dim isolation room, Max felt the heavy impact of the day's surprises. Even though the situation had taken an unexpected turn, he recognized that from the beginning, when he first took Shadow in, things had seemed different. This journey wasn't merely about saving what he thought was a stray puppy. It was about the growing bond between them, one that went beyond Shadow's wild instincts. As they awaited the arrival of the wildlife specialist to take over Shadow's care, the young hyena seemed to sense Max's conflicted feelings. In a quiet movement, Shadow edged closer to the side of the cage nearest to Max. Tentative yet hopeful, Max stretched his hand towards the cage. In response, Shadow tenderly licked Max's finger and nudged his hand with his head, a quiet expression of thanks and goodbye. In that brief moment, they experienced a deep connection that captured the essence of their short time together. As Max watched Shadow settle more peacefully in the cage, looking less scared and more comfortable, he felt a strong conviction that he was doing the right thing. This moment of clarity brought him a tranquil sense of peace, content in the knowledge that he had contributed to the well-being of a wild animal that had unexpectedly enriched his life. Did you find this story moving? Would you have made the same decision as Max and let Shadow go? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. In saying goodbye to Shadow, Max learned the importance of understanding and respecting wild animals. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.